Hello my fishing friends. Today I'm going to set up a microline and show you how I do it. Now, just as a little background, this is what I'm using for a rod. Very traditional Japanese style rod with a lillian. So this attaches to the end of a lillian. So that means that you could set up this attachment on any type of lillian rod. So I'm not using a rod and reel. If you're using a rod and reel, this exact method's not going to work for you. This line is pretty simple. One end has a loop. This is what attaches to the rod. So very simple. These, when you go to attach them, you take the loop, you feed it through the loop, you make a hole, and then the lillian goes in here and you cinch it down, boink, to catch the lillian. Now, this is 1.5 meters. On the other end, depending, these either come with a knot or with a loop themselves. I'm going to keep the knot on here because we're not going to be regularly tying and untying against the knot, which is the advantage of the loop, is it's a little faster. So I'm going to keep this. For the terminal line, we have 0.4. So we're going to take this. Nice. This stuff works pretty well for micros. They do have smaller. The nice thing about this is it's still strong enough that if you do end up catching on to something a little bigger, it will still hold for quite, for a decent sized chub or something like that, or even a small trout, it would probably be fine. So you can take this end with the knot, take this one, and you're going to combine the two. So I first put some saliva. Da-da-da. It's not as big a deal. Your knots don't have to be as, actually not, I shouldn't say as big a deal. Your knots don't have to be as strong microfishing because your fish should be pretty small. So we're going to combine the two lines. Now this is the hard part with microfishing, is everything is small. And I'm not great at tying knots, and for some reason, it's always harder to tie a knot when you're on camera. Just like a fact of life. So now we have attached the braided line to the mono line. Now I want this to be 2 meters and the braided line is 150 centimeters. So we're going to need 50 centimeters. Alright, so we're going to need another few pieces. So next, we're going to use a float with this. So we're going to need to take our little piece, feed the line through. And we can put this away and ignore it for now. Alright, next part, we're going to tie on the friction swivels. Let me let you get a look at it. So, with the friction swivel, your line goes through here. You make a knot through the loop. Your line that is connected to the hook is actually pushed through and kind of pulled into this very, very tight notch. And that the friction actually holds it in place. So we have the friction swivel. We have our ability to put a bottle in there. Well, technically a float. Here's our little float. They're so cute. All right, so now we need a weight. So one of the problems, well, not really a problem, is you can run into is that it's so light that it can actually be too light to break the surface tension. You can actually see this if you take a 1 yen coin and very, very carefully put it in a cup of water. Is that the surface tension is too high for it to break. So without a weight, sometimes you cast out and the hook and line just float on the water. And the swivel is not actually heavy enough to pull them down. All right, the weights are tiny. As you can see, there's a little split in there. It's a tiny, tiny, tiny split shot. I don't know if they come any smaller. They are, like most things, a little bit of a pain to get on the line. Now, let's look at the last part. So these are the hooks I use. They come pre-made. So let's pull them out. They have this nice red line that you probably can't even see. But let's take a look at the hooks. This is a tanago style hook. So very, very small hook. Long ago, they were actually made out of wire that was sharpened. So the bait goes on the hook, and this line we can attach quite easily to the swivel. So you take the end of the line, ta-da! You take the friction swivel, you feed the line in, pop up. Come on, focus. Here, focus is better for my hands there. So as you can see now, the line goes through the friction swivel. Now I personally then take the tag end and wrap it a few times. So 1, 2, maybe 3, and then pull those ones through too. So we are all in there. So now we have multiple wraps around to make it more secure. All right, now from here, it's time to put it on the holder. So when I get fishing, I can unwrap it. I generally 1, 2, kind of keep it tight. It actually turns into quite a few wraps with this much length. So there, first 50 centimeters. And then the red cord goes around too. So this would be 2 meters, which is a little longer than the other one I set up, which I think is 1 meter. Because it's a 1/2 meter braid plus about 1/2 meter of line. All right, just as a recap, this is the end. It has this big loop. So if I wanted to attach to my line, here's my lillian right here. I take this, I open it up. I fold it onto itself. I pull it back through till I get a loop. Ta-da! I put the loop over the lillian. I pull it closed. Usually pull it up here. And now it's attached to my line. I can extend out my rod, which is 1 meter, and then I have my line. As far as bait, I use either parts of worms or maggots. Some people like to use larvae, anything that they can find. Some people actually put a little piece of gelatin pack bait. Anyways, I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you learned something. So why don't you go down to the comment section, tell me what you think, or tell me about the rigs that you use for microfishing. So please like, comment, share, and subscribe, and I will see you in my next adventure.